too many times on the border. How do you break up with your friend? I know there is no use to confront her, but how do you say this is the end? I'm through being taken for granted. I'm the one you call when nobody's home. Being with him is just disappointment. I'm the last escape, so I've been told. Don't bring that bomb to my door again, my friend. You know that you've been crying wolf too many times. All this time I know it. Been there, I've done that. Those words are just sand in my hair. So talk if you like. The words will be words till you bring them to life. So talk if you like. The words will be words till you bring them to life.
Welcome to the show. This is Let's Catch Up with Mike. I am your host, Mike Vatter, and that was Talk, Talk, Talk by St. Michael featuring Anya Gold. Words will be words till you bring them to life. That is our mantra here. And today's guest is Eleanor Ward. And welcome to the show, Eleanor. You are a Jill of all trades. I am excited to have you on the show. Is there anything you don't do? Life coach, entrepreneur, author, a best-selling author. Let me make sure I get that in there. Motivational speaker, community organizer, and now you have a magazine. You're a magazine publisher. Throw in, radio DJ, and, you've got it kind of all bases covered, right?
I'm trying.
Yeah, get you a talk show, right?
I would love it.
Well, welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you, and I know my audience is going to love hearing from you and hearing all about all the things that you do and have done. So tell us about Eleanor. Tell us about what kind of has made you you. Tell us about your journey. I know you became a life coach shortly after losing your husband and your eldest son. And I'm sure that was not an easy journey for you.
No, it wasn't. I've always been an entrepreneur even before that happened. And so you could walk into my home, and at the time, the children were the employees and the local neighbor kids. So my husband would get so annoyed, and he'd be like, "Oh God, what are you doing?"
But free labor.
You'd have like 6 little minions, hot dogs, potato chips, and that was their pay. They were fine, and they're packing up Avon orders. They're getting stuff off the answering machine. I used to have a romance business where I'd come and romance your day for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't have to do it. Now people are making big bucks off of it.
Yep.
So I had Avon, I had that, and then I had a what do you call it? I wasn't a notary yet because I'm also a notary. I also had a business where I would do all your typing and your forms, kind of a VA before they existed.
Okay.
So this was before, internet times. And so he would just walk through and just shake his head and be like, "I'm going to play PlayStation," And, his friends were like, coming into your house is like coming into an office building. And I used to crack up because I'm like, "You're just walking in the living room." They're like, "Man, you don't know the operation you have going." So that was always my mindset. So when my husband and my oldest passed, I got the life coach certification. I'm gonna be honest with your audience. I didn't do jack squat with it, y'all. My life was so jacked up. So I don't know who I would have been life coaching anyway. It would have been awful. We'd have all been crying. Ooh.
But Louie, let me interrupt you real quick, because you say that, but I think unlike going to a Catholic priest or going to somebody who has no life experience in certain arenas, like people go to a Catholic priest for marriage counseling, or people go to a Catholic priest for like information on their sex life, or they have no experience in that arena. 99% of the time they've never been married or never had, they live a life of abstinence, and they're giving advice on those things. A life coach who's been through the ringer, who feels like they've got nothing to offer, might be the best life coach in the world, because they're sitting there going, I don't even know what to tell you. But that's the
Yeah.
best life coach, because they've hit rock bottom, maybe,
Mhm.
and they don't know where to start. That might be a great life coach to have, because you're going to work through it together. Like speaks to like,
And
and
that's very true. That's very
so, I
true.
mean, you may have felt like you weren't helping people, but I believe you probably were. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted
No, you're
I
good.
wanted to
This
touch
is
on
your
that
show.
stone.
I'm following your lead. So
I wanted to touch on that stone before you went any further.
I stopped for a while and said, "Oh, I'm not going to do it," and it just sat and it was getting, cobwebs. And I said, "You know what? I'm just going to dive right in. I'm doing the best I can do out here." And so I started doing it. I got a few clients, and then over the last couple of years, I changed the focus from just basic life coaching to helping people who were dealing with grief, because I was like, that was the biggest thing I was having problems with. I didn't know what I was doing with the grief. And I thought I could just help you have a better life. And then I had to realize you can have a great life if you can deal with the grief issue. And so
Right.
that's how I jumped on that. And then I decided, I missed me. I went back to corporate America, and I tell this story a lot. I got fired a lot,
Yeah.
because it wasn't for me. And I was just like, what am I doing? So a couple of years ago, I said, I'm just going to wing it and do the best that I can. I've always been a good steward of my money. And so I started thinking about all the people out here that nobody talks to, even people like you. And I'm like, why aren't we in a magazine? Why aren't we on the cover? Why aren't we getting our stories told? And so I started my magazine. Actually, it was this year was its first year. It's going into its fourth issue, which is the holiday issue coming up in December. It's doing okay. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's doing well. We got 1 million followers. No, we're getting there. It's a slow growth, but I try to feature amazing women. I haven't found any guys yet, but now that I'm starting to talk to more guys, I can start featuring guys. And I just talk to you about your small business, and you give me your amazing story, and I put you in the magazine, and that way you get a little exposure, and I get to keep telling the stories I want to tell, because life coaching, you can only tell so much. So I literally am my own publisher. I am in talks with Walmart to get on with them to sell Prosperity Business Magazine. So I'm excited. So, some things just take a process, but in the meantime, I publish, push it out there, and get it out to people. The magazine has actually made it to New Zealand, and it's also made it to Australia.
That is awesome. That
So
is
I've
very
been
cool.
shocked myself. I'm like, what?
That is very
And
cool.
yeah, so I'm excited that you just never know where it might end up. So for people that think they don't want to take the chance. And then I truly am a Jill of all trades. And I hate people to say you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. I'm a Jill of all trades and a master of everyone, and the best that I can be. And that's a feature in my magazine, because I hated people saying that to me. I call it the Jill of all trades for the month. And so we talk about what the person who has like 5 businesses is doing. And, I love that, because last month we had a video game girl. She plays video games, and she has a video game line for gamer girls. And she has a clothing line. So she's out there, and she's got a podcast, I think. So I'm like, let's tell your story.
And right here, we have the Jill of all trades featured on the cover. Yep. Jill of all trades right there. And I love that, because you're right. And people say jack of all trades, master of none, or Jill of all trades, master of none. That's not usually accurate, because
No.
you can have a bunch of irons in the fire, or a lot of things going on, and you may not be the master of all of them, but you can be the master of a bunch of them. You can learn as you go. And like a lot of people, you can take a long time to get your degree. You can take a long time to become an expert in your field. You don't have to follow the traditional, 4-year course. You can take a long time. Some people never go to college, but they become a master in a field that, people who spend, 7 years in college never master, and they become the best person, the best engineer, the best chef, the best tradesman, whatever it is, and they did it on their own path, and they don't necessarily have the correct quote unquote education for it, but they've mastered it on their own. And it may have taken them an odd path to get there, but it doesn't mean they didn't do it, the right way for them. And so I love that you've made this like a feature in your magazine. I think that is the coolest thing.
Oh, I love it. And so many times, we forget you have to try other things. If not, you are going to be consistently feeling stagnant. At least I do.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hadn't started the magazine, I was actually falling into a depression. I didn't have a lot of clients. I had switched over to the grief thing and nobody was feeling it. It was just like, and so I was just like, and instead of kind of laying around, and I said, well, I need to do something else creatively that will kind of take my mind off of it. And the magazine has become a labor of love. And now it's starting to take those little steps to the next level. So I'm happy I did it. People really have to understand you have to be genuine in who you are. I'm not good at someone telling me what to do all day. I'm not good at sitting still for 8 hours. I feel like a cubicle is a mini prison sentence.
I get that.
So
I get that too.
it's just horrible. And I remember my sister saying, because she just retired this year, 40 years with the federal government. And I applaud her because I would have passed out probably about 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her I've never been able to harness that energy you have to get up, be in traffic, and have someone tell you what to do all day. But I applaud her because that takes discipline as well. But yeah, I do the magazine, I do the coaching. I'm getting ready to start teaching classes online about the grief coaching, and I'm going to be doing also stuff about how to start your own magazine, because I would ask a lot of people to help me with the magazine and they told me no, nobody would tell me what to do. And so I just got online and said, well, screw you, and how do you make a magazine?
Good for you. Because why not help? I don't understand when people do that. And I find it's especially true with not just men not wanting to help women, but women who have made it don't want to help other women. And I don't get that. Because once you've made it up the ladder, why not turn around and help someone else up behind you? Instead they break that rung. Once they've reached up to the next rung, they break the rung behind them, so no one else can make it up there. Why is that? Why do you think that is?
I think it's because in their mind, you're competition. Mm-hmm. And in your mind, like for me, the 2 or 3 ladies I contacted, I was just loving their stuff. I was impressed. I'm like, they got their own magazine.
Yeah.
They're just doing the damn thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that word.
No,
and
say whatever you want. We're on the internet. You can say,
they're just to me, they were just amazing. And I thought, this is better quality content than I've seen, because I actually purchased their stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, this is way better content than what's in the store. So when I would humbly come to you and say, hi, my name's Eleanor, I would love to do a magazine about life coaches and small business women, I would get shut down immediately. I don't know. It took me years to get here. I'd ask the question, well, how did you get on Amazon, or how did you get on this? And they would tell me, oh, you have to have special software. And that's when I began to realize they're not going to help you, Eleanor. They don't want you to know. Instead of saying, you know what, we could promote each other's magazines. Right. We could talk about each other on our platforms. Instead, they shut me down because in their mind, I was automatic competition. So that's why you become competition.
See, if you're confident in your product, if you're confident in your show, if you're confident in your magazine, if you know what you're putting out there is quality content, then no one's your competition. Mm-mm. And why not turn around and help the next person up the same ladder, or help them up another ladder, because your ladder, just because you climbed that ladder, it's not the same ladder once you've climbed it. It's a different ladder now. It's like, the river changes every time the water rushes through it. It's a different river now. It's changed. So why not help somebody else navigate it? I think that's ridiculous. And you know what? The best advice I've ever gotten and the best mentor I've ever had is a guy named Stuart Ralph. And he may not even know this, that I feel this way about him. He hosts a podcast out of the UK, out of Great Britain. And I asked him when I was starting my shows, I have another podcast about obsessive compulsive disorder that I host. And I went to him and said, your podcast about OCD, the OCD Stories is the name of his. I said, it's considered the best in the world on this topic. And I want to start one that's for the United States, just in Jacksonville, not even nationwide. How do I do it? And he said, oh, here, let me tell you. And mine is now award nominated after just a little bit, not even a year old. And it's never going to be as big as his. It's never going to be worldwide. Maybe it will be, but I don't think.
We don't know.
Right. But I don't think it's ever going to be as good as his, because I admire him so much. And he's congratulated me, and he's reached out and said, your show's great. I've interviewed him. He's interviewed me. We help each other out. And that's how it should be. And that's why I think platforms like where you and I met on, the I Need a Guest Facebook group is such a great prospecting medium, because we can go out there and say, hey, I'll promote you if you promote me, because I think what you're doing is awesome. And, if we can help each other out, that's how it should be. So I think it's ridiculous when people say, you're my competition. I'm not going to help you out. Because you know what? That competitor may be your boss one day.
Yeah, you don't know. Or you could come to me and say, well, I'm not selling anymore and need to be on your team.
Yeah.
And, it was so funny. I came to realize the other issue was not only was I considered competition, it was also more so, I just want you to purchase my magazine and purchase my ad space and buy from me. So it was like, oh, okay, I see the secondary piece of this. You only want money coming to you.
Right.
And so I learned a lot from that. I learned to research and dig. And in a sense, that's great, because now that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm good to go. And one of the women came back recently and asked me to collaborate in a collaboration book with her. And I thought, how strange.
Yeah.
But I think she sees what's happening for me. And it's like, would you come back over here now? And being the chick that I am, sure, I'll come back. I'll be in a collaboration book with you. And it's going to be called Women Who Rock, and it's coming out in February. So sure, why not? Because what God has for me, he has for me. And what he has for you, he has for you. He's not going to take my success to give it to you. It doesn't work like that. And in fact, he's going to double bless our success if we work together. But people don't see it that way. With the life coaching, I started my Instagram live show, because believe it or not, I'm the queen of doing stuff, but I'm also the queen at failure and sucking it up, because I would rather say I did it than not did it. So I had it.
Well, you have to fail in order to succeed. You don't know what success is if you haven't failed.
Man, well then I am the queen of success. So I had this crazy cuckoo bird business manager for a while, got rid of her. But in the meantime, she had me doing all the stuff that I really wasn't ready for. So she said, get on a podcast and talk about manifestation, because what you're manifesting seems to be happening in your life. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm on a rocky road out here manifesting. And so I was like, I don't think I should be teaching people how to manifest anything. And so I jumped in with both feet. I started the podcast. I had maybe 4 listeners. And I finally said, yeah, this isn't what I need to be doing. It didn't feel right, because it felt like I'm not quite there yet for myself to teach you how to manifest, because I'm still manifesting. And so she got angry with me, and I just stopped the podcast. And so I finally sat there and said, what should I do? And I never pretend I just get magically this stuff. I get things kind of through whatever I'm doing. And so I got sent this thing about, being on TV boot camp. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be on TV yet either, because I want to eventually get to some level of, kind of having my own talk show on some platform. And so finally it just kept coming up, and I'm like, okay. And I took their free boot camp, and in the free boot camp, they also taught you how to kind of have your own podcast or your own show on whatever the case may be. And so I said, well, I'm going to try this. And I tell you, within probably about 2 weeks, I was booked for 2 months straight. I had never had a show. I didn't even know what was going on. I was like, what? I don't know what was happening. And so I had to turn off requests on groups, like in the podcast group and stuff. I had to just turn it off, because I'm like, I'm literally, to this day, I'm booked till the end of the year. And so I do that every week now. And I said, when it is time for me to go to the next level of having that podcast, or possibly that show on Roku, or whatever the case may be, then I'll take those steps to do that. But for now, I'm interviewing with amazing people. I'm on podcasts with people like you. So I'm meeting people all over the world. And it's just been amazing. And so I think we have to if you're a Jill of all trades like me, take the baby steps, but still do what you want. I knew I wanted to kind of get in there and see what it was like, because I love talking to people and interviewing them and getting their stories out there. And I even had someone tell me, you're too encouraging when you do your interviews. And it makes people go look at their websites. It makes people go buy from them, but they're not buying from you. I said, but who's to say the show is for me? Who's to say that show is for me to promote my stuff? I can get on my own page and promote me all day and go blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So I don't necessarily need my show to promote myself. That's the point of having this person here, so we can say, hey, what do you have going on? What's happening? Because it's simply called Instagram Live with a guest.
Right.
And I do it. I call it Fresh Start Fridays live on Instagram with a guest. So that's all it is. And
Right.
I think it's getting me out there. I think it's what I think people enjoy it. I'd love to get you on there as well.
Oh, I'd love to.
And so at the end of the day, I had to think about it. I didn't get upset with her, but that's that mindset again from women. I don't know what it is with women, that it's like the selfishness. And I thought, well, that's not what it's for.
Right.
And so to me, if you're going to be doing different things, make sure what each piece is for. To me, the Fresh Start Fridays live on Instagram is a gratefulness piece for me. I'm grateful to talk to you. I'm grateful to know what you do. And I'm grateful that you're out here, because I can't life coach everybody.
Right.
It's not possible.
Right.
And people that think they can are foolish. But I can tell you that I had a guest last Friday who does financial tips for widows, and she's good at what she does. And here's her information. Because if you aren't networking as a Jack or Jill of all trades, what are you doing? You're just out here doing a bunch of different stuff. And like you said, you don't necessarily have to master them all, but you at least want to have control and show that you are doing something with each thing. And writing, I've been writing since I was a kid. And I started with poetry, then I went into stories, and then I went into writing books. And believe it or not, people are always shocked. My muse was Harlequin. I still love Harlequin books.
Wow, that does surprise me. It does.
Yeah.
And that's funny, because Harlequin novels are either really
They're cheesy.
huh?
They're cheesy.
Well, I was gonna say they're either gonna be super cheesy and not at all well written, or they're gonna be fairly well written but just all dollar store like junky covers, and people pick them up because the half naked people on the cover, and it's like, oh, this is titillating, and I want to hear about all the sex stuff in them, but the characters might be more well developed than you think, and they just want the sex scenes. And it's funny because a lot of authors start out with that type of work because it's easy work to get. But it's funny because that surprises me that was your muse. But I love that
Yeah, I started
got you
reading
started.
them. Huh?
That got you started though.
Yeah, I started reading them at 10, and I don't know how I snuck them past my mother. And I remember her walking in my. I don't remember how I got them. I never remember how I got them. And I just remember one was sitting on the bookcase, and maybe my sisters had them. They were like decades older than me, and they'll probably never tell me that it was probably them that had books, but they were just sitting on the bookshelf. And I had been a voracious reader since I was 3. So if you left something out, good Lord, I was going to read it. And so I remember pulling them off the shelf, and there was 5 or 6 of them there. And I saw my mother, this was a few months later, kind of like, I think she's been reading those books. And I just, and you know what I fell in love with? I fell in love with the gallantry of it all, the I wanted those old times, the pageant, the historicalness of it. And I read the modern ones too. And actually there are some amazing Harlequin writers, but because you have to meet Harlequin parameters, a lot of them take good writing and kind of tone it down and meet those things. But you can still see, oh, that person's actually a good writer. And so I tried for a few years to get on, and they didn't have me. And that's okay, because I still felt like, I think if you have to churn out Harlequin books on a regular basis, I think you become a heck of a timeline person, and you become a heck of a deadline person, and you become a heck of a writer. So that's what people are usually shocked to hear that. But yeah, that's what got me wanting to write. And
but it
so
probably
I
helped you hone your craft, having to quote audition for that style of writing. It probably helped you hone your craft and get to, the feedback and the criticism that you had to face. It probably helped you become a better writer of your own right.
I think it did. And what was crazy, I don't know what I did. I found one of the writers and I sent her a message and she invited me to the retreat. And so I
Oh,
got to
cool.
spend a weekend with a bunch of Harlequin writers. And man, they're a rowdy, rowdy bunch of
I'm
chicks.
sure they are.
And I
Are they
learned
all
so
women
much.
though? With
They're
all the
all they're all women. Most of there are a few guys, but they're only at that particular retreat. But
okay.
this one was all ladies. They were the Midwest romance writers, and they welcomed me with open arms. They let me write a chapter in one of the books, and I was just like,
Wow.
ah! So people don't know I have a chapter in one of the Harlequin books. And they told me that I had it. They said it just needed a little more time. And they meet up, they just eat, and then they just, what people don't know is, I mean, when they go for it, they go for it. You're around this huge table and you are writing your butt off for half that day. They don't play. So we may think it's nothing to what they're doing, but they really do a lot. And so I learned a lot from them and just love the women, because the lady was like, why don't you just come to a retreat? And she said, I'll pay for everything. And then you can really see some writing in its truest
Nice.
form. And so I love that. And so now that's my thing. I have a book I wrote about the scars about with my mom. My mom was a loving mom, but she wasn't a doting mom. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a collaborative book with her. And then I did a book of, I guess in a sense, they're not really affirmations. It's more so kind of you journaling how you're feeling and what's going on. And you give each person on your page a huge quote. And so that book actually became a bestseller. And I didn't know it. I got contacted. They said, do you know that the book you're with these other ladies has actually sold out on Amazon and all this stuff? I'm like, no. And so that book just kind of helps you have a good 2 pages of something that I'm saying or whoever's saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can write your thoughts next to it. And now I want to get into I just want to get into fiction. I just want to really get into fiction. And everybody thinks I'm crazy, but I said Amazon is great, but I want to be on the New York Times bestseller list. How I'm gonna do that, I don't know. But
You will if you're gonna manifest it. That's awesome.
yeah, not on the podcast. But that's in my head because I really want to write fiction, and believe it or not, I want to write it about church because I had been Jehovah's Witness growing up. Left that in my 30s because they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and yes, that's the truth. And then, then I went into what they call the Black church, and the Black church, good God Almighty, is they may need a little medication too. And I came to realize, you know what, you just love God and be happy and live your life. So I recently left that situation. It was just all overwhelming. But I have so many stories, and I thought I can make this into a wonderful fiction series about a whole bunch of different stuff, just a collaboration of different peoples all together. Yeah. And so that's kind of my next step. And so I think what happens when you are like me, a Jill of all trades, the biggest thing is you become overwhelmed. You become like, oh, it's so many thoughts in my head. It's so much that I want to do. And so now what I do is I limit myself to 10 things, and I'll stick to maybe 3 or 4 of them. And then I'll say, these can wait. Maybe they have to wait for money. Maybe they have to wait just until I'm a little calmer. And so I know that I want to definitely, like I said, eventually have like a talk show format. I have a friend, she just started her own morning show, like the Today Show on Roku. I'm like, that's amazing.
That's really cool.
But she can afford a whole staff of people to film her show. I'm not there yet, but I'm like, okay, that's, I really want more. So I don't necessarily want a morning show because I can't get up to save my life. I definitely want to have kind of that talk show. You come on, we have fun, it's midday, it's happy, and that's kind of where I'm at. So I think it's just a matter of harnessing what you're feeling, and I have to write it down so that I don't lose the thought, because I'll get a thought tomorrow about, making a vacuum that flies through the room, and we know that's not going to happen. But when your mind is constantly thinking of new junk, you have to say, come on, mind, stay focused on what we can really make happen. So that's kind of what I hope people understand, that it's not that you're flighty, it's not that you can't figure it out. You're just constantly, you're a creator. Yeah. And people don't get that you're a creator.
I love that though. And it sounds like you've got some great ideas. I think what you should do is take that idea about your church fiction. I think you should take that and make it a series of articles, a series of essays in your magazine.
Really? Really? Okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
I think you should do maybe
I like
like a paragraph or two, an essay or two, each issue, and then you've got it written down, and then you can then take those as, after maybe, 12, 13, 14 issues, and then
that.
combine them into a book of
Oh, that would be
essays,
good.
and
That
then
would be good.
have an editor make them into a story, you know.
Yeah, that
You
I
know.
can afford.
Yeah, exactly, because you've already written them, you've done the hard work. So tell us about the magazine. Tell us about where the magazine's going to go. Where is Prosperity Business Magazine going to go from here? I know you do printed issues. You also do digital. You've reached international audiences. New Zealand, Australia, and my audiences. I've got viewers all around the world. So we've got a lot of people in Ireland and Egypt who watch the show. So talk to them. Tell them how to find your magazine and where you want it to go from here.
You guys can find Prosperity Magazine at www.prosperitymag.info. Ignore that it says there's no security certificate. It'll be on there fairly soon. There's no
Okay.
bugs on it or anything, because we just had to redo the magazine site. If you feel like, hey, I don't want to do that, you can definitely go to the good old fashioned coaching page, which is biggerfishtofrycoaching.com, and you can buy the magazine on there as well. And then it's all over the Instagram. I don't think you can find any part of the Instagram where it's not me peeking out talking about, hey, buy a magazine.
That's true. That is true.
Even though that's a coaching page, and it irks people that I have that on there. You should just have coaching on there. Oh, shut up. So you can go on there. But where I wanted to go is I wanted to become truly national, truly international. Right now, it's gone to a few states, it's gone to a few different countries, and that's great. But I wanted to be on a level where people know that this is a magazine. They know what it's talking about. I've been really working hard with Walmart so that I can get on some of those pages and sites.
Yeah.
So when Walmart is finished with most of what they're doing, at this point, they've told me I am approved. They're waiting on, I guess, a few things tax purpose wise. Then I'll be on the marketplace. You'll
That
be
is
able to
so
go
cool.
to the Walmart marketplace and buy Prosperity Magazine. I mean, I just scream all over the room right now about that. And people are like, well, it's not there. And I said, I don't care. I would rather it take however long it's going to take and be done right than to rush it and have it fall apart. And my next goal is to get it onto Amazon and kind of start really pushing it out there. So I know people, for whatever reason, I have learned this. When you have something like the Entity of Prosperity Magazine, they love it. They see it. They read it. I've been giving kudos all over the place. But getting them to click the button is so hard. But they'll go to Amazon and pay more than what I charge.
Right.
They'll go to Walmart and pay more than what I charge. I don't care about the percentage. My whole thing is I want it to get out there so that it can really take off. And then I can really make it more what it needs to be, because more money will be coming in. I'll be able to get more features. I'll probably be able to get off the cover, because right now I'm the only cover girl I can afford. So
But it's like Oprah. You're the only one on the cover. You're like the Oprah of prosperity. Yeah.
That's what my girlfriend said. She said, you're just Oprah. We're going to go with it. And she told me the other week, she said, and she buys an issue every time one of them comes out, no matter what. She said, you know what? I don't think I want nobody else on the cover. I just don't know why I don't. I started cracking up. I said, well, I'll definitely keep that in mind. Oprah's thing was the same thing. When I researched why she was on the cover, she said, I have money, but I didn't want to give it to celebrities. And I thought, oh,
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. That's true.
But yeah, I wanted to have some more guys and fellas in it, telling some more of their stories about prosperous business. And people go, well, it's not fair that you, what about people that have businesses that fail? No, I don't want you in the magazine. How much sense does that make if I'm telling people they can be prosperous? Failure is great in learning whatever lesson you need to learn it from, or that you tried something. But this is for people that either took those failures and made something amazing at the next level, or somebody that took something out of nothing. Literally, me making this magazine was sitting at my computer that I got off QVC and just literally sitting until my eyeballs were burning most nights, and dragging my poor kid in to help me connect it and look at pricing and and all kind of stuff. And I found a young lady in the Philippines, and she is my graphic designer, and she does a banging job on it. And me and her just go back and forth, and we get it done. And we get it done every time. Right now it's 4 issues per year. So eventually I'd like to move that up to, of course, monthly if possible.
Right.
But for now, I'm good with the 4 issues per year. And I think they're going to continue to grow. I think amazing women are going to come. And I want people to start coming to me. I want to be in your magazine, because I think that's going to be the bomb. And I'm going to be like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where I want us to go. I want us to get to next level. Instagram, it's all already on there. I wanted to have its own little commercial on there. And so they've asked me a few times. I said, no, I don't think it's at the level yet. Whereas I'm selling a few hundred now. When I put out that commercial, I want to be able to say it's selling,
Right.
And so eventually I want to be able to say the circulation is,
Yeah.
but to have started a magazine at the beginning of this year in March and not know what I was doing to where I am now on the 4th issue, we're, about to close out the year. I think it's amazing. I'm proud of myself.
You should be. You absolutely should be. Now, if somebody wants to buy ads in the magazine or write a feature in the magazine, do they contact you through your website? Is that the best way to reach you?
Yeah, they can just contact me through my website or send me instant message on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm on there every 5 seconds. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Because it's so funny. I say that because I could literally be cooking out of the house at a restaurant, and Instagram and Facebook will tell people I'm active. And I remember a guy was inquiring, and he got mad, and he was like, hey, are you there? Are you there? And I got on there a few hours later. I said, no, I wasn't. I don't know why my phone does this. So I go in and look at all the settings, no way to change it. So people just think I'm on there 24 hours a day, which is fine. So yeah, Instagram or my website would be the best way. It'll give you the ad prices. I don't charge exorbitant. What I've seen people charge, I literally charge a third of. So you're not going to get ripped off. My ads are amazing. They're beautiful. They're 8.5 by 11 because right now that's what we do. So let's say you have ad space. This is the size of your ad. This is a cleaning ad.
Nice.
And you can't really see the top picture looks weird, but it's pictures of houses that she's cleaned. I mean, even though this is my ad, we do our best to make it colorful and, put in what you have to put in. So when I tell people what, I charge, they're usually shocked because I've seen people charge $300 for those size ads.
Yeah. Now hold on. That's the newest issue, right?
That's the newest issue.
Hold it up so we can see it.
That came out.
There we go.
You get on the cover.
Yeah.
The back. I'm on the back too. I really want to change the back. And this one came out in October. It was our fall issue, and it's got a bunch of stuff. I had an amazing RN in this issue that went over the whole coronavirus. And so I think she just did a banging job. She even left her job to become certified in fighting the pandemic. And so to me, that was just kind of a way to knock out some of the myths. She talks about vaccine versus not vaccine. I don't tell you either way, but I thought, that'd be good. So people can kind of feel a little less worried. But if you guys are interested, definitely.
That's a great topic to cover in your magazine, because I know a lot of people in the Black community, especially in the Black church community, are very hesitant to get vaccinated because not just the history of the way Blacks and people of color and the Tuskegee experiments and Harriet, I've lost her last name.
The cell lady, I can't think of her name.
Yes, the one with the blood cell treatment lady. I cannot believe I've forgotten her last name. But the treatment of Black women, especially, and the Tuskegee Airmen, Tuskegee experiments. I think that's a big reason, and rightfully so, to mistrust vaccines in the Black community. But for people to step up and say, well, I've been vaccinated and here's it, or I trust the vaccine and here's why. I think that's great, because we're not going to get out of this. It's been 2 years. We're not going to get out of this if people don't start at least trusting the vaccine and researching it and saying this is why I chose to do it. So
yeah, and I think that's the thing. Everything's not Tuskegee. We
right,
got to wake up for that. And I know everybody tries to roll back on that, but everything is not. And
right.
at the end of the day, one of the things I try my best to do, the Hispanic community struggles with the vaccine as well. So
Yes.
and I do have Hispanic readers. And so I make sure to try to hit things that both of our communities are not necessarily strong in. And somebody asked me why I had a, like I said, why do you have white ladies in the vaccine? This issue has one. Every issue's had one. The first one, the second one, the third one. I said, well, it's not about that. I have white ladies, Hispanic ladies, Black ladies. I said, if you see me on the cover, that doesn't mean it could be a whole issue of white women. I don't really care.
That's not the point.
It's not. I said, it comes down to the story. It comes down to what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to their excitement of wanting to be in my magazine. And so when she looked through one of the other issues, she said, oh, this issue when we had like one Black person and a whole bunch of the other ones. I'm like, yeah, this is not Ebony or Essence. This is my magazine. I am not of one entity. So, I mean, I identify as Black, but that's so redundant. My grandmother was from Austria, full Austrian, so that means white. And and she used to get mad because I'm like, well, why don't you just say you're German? And oh man, she'd read me my riot act. She goes, we are Austrian, and Austrians are above Germans, even though they speak the same language. So man, I learned my lesson on that one. I'm like, okay, I'm going to shut up before I get put in somewhere I don't want to be.
Wow.
And so, but I still think they have a lot of Austrian temperaments and things, not Austrian, German temperaments, because they're not the fuzziest people. But she was saying they were a little bit more upscale. And so I get it. And so, and then my dad has other stuff in his bloodline. So I'm just like, get over whatever your stupid stuff is thinking about. And it's going to stay that way. There's always going to be diversity. It was just shown in Canada, this issue.
Very cool. And by the way, Henrietta Lacks is the name I was trying to think of.
I was going to say, is it Leach or Lax?
Lax, yeah, Lachs. And it's pronounced Lax, yeah.
And her family is suing the government, which I think is great, only because
still suing. They've been suing them for years and years and still haven't won.
I thought they had put out another one. But the recent issue was shown at a booking thing in Canada, and she sent it to me yesterday. Mm-hmm. It's this beautiful lady here. Her name's Dawn Minge. I don't know if you can see her.
Yes.
And she writes children's books and she does special needs. So we featured her stuff about the special needs, and then we featured her children's book in one of the ads. And she traveled. She took the magazine and showed it to the panel in Canada.
That's awesome.
And I was like, oh my God. And she said, I just was so happy not only to be in it, but I wanted other people to see it. And she took pictures with people and all kind of stuff. So, and these are her books. Her books are called Queen Bernita. And so I'm just like, wow, I just hit Canada without even trying. And hopefully something will come from that. Not because I'm reaching out, but because you don't know what people will do next. So absolutely, you guys out there that thinking that you can't reach people or that people you work with will not help you reach another level, don't trip. And I've had a lot of people sending me messages saying they loved it. She showed it in Canada. Now, mind you, this woman has her own books to sell, and she showed my magazine. So I thought that was amazing.
It's funny that you were saying, and congratulations on that, by the way. I think that's wonderful. You didn't have to spend a dime, and you've reached, a whole community in Canada. It's funny that you're talking about how people are saying to you, well, how come you're featuring, white people, and how come you're not featuring enough Black people? And, as a gay man in the South, I'm in Florida, which I don't consider. I don't consider Florida the South.
Not bad, because you guys have a good community down there.
Well, Florida is not really the South. Florida is some part of yeah, Florida is like North Florida is part of Georgia, and Central Florida is part of, New York that broke off and floated down here, 50 years ago. And South Florida is part of, Cuba that broke off and floated up. We're all over the place. Florida is not the South. Florida is not even
No,
anywhere.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's truly not.
We're in the southern part, but we're not the South.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm a gay man in the South and doing two different shows on the internet. And people tell me I don't feature enough gay content. And I'm like, first of all, what is gay content? Because gay is every culture. And B, so I did a whole thing on Pride Month in June, which is, Pride. President Obama finally gave us our own Pride Month, right? And so I did a whole thing in Pride Month, and I couldn't find enough guests. Then I finally got guests, and nobody watched. And I was like, y'all telling me that I have to have enough, I have to have more gay content. And then one episode actually broke 100 views, and it was like, so don't tell me what I've got to have on my show when the stuff that I've been doing gets more views than the stuff you're telling me I've got to be doing.
You have to do what you're called to do,
right?
Regardless of, whether you're gay or hetero or anything,
Yeah.
Because that's what you were called to do. And
right.
Even with me, I'm gonna be honest, I love my people, but here's another thing: they don't meet deadlines well. They don't. And when you have a magazine, I think they think I'm BS, and I'm like, I do have a deadline with the printer.
Yeah.
So they have to have this, or I'm going to end up paying this on top of what I'm already paying. And they're just sitting there like, huh? Literally, I could give them a deadline of November the 15th. That was 5 days ago. I got 2 writers yesterday. Oh, I missed it. Can I still send it in? Yeah, you can, because my deadlines are fake for the Black writers. I give real deadlines to the other authors. And I know it's horrible, but it is what it is, because I know people are gonna hate me for saying that, because I love my people, but they will not meet the deadline. So I know you're gonna be a week to 2 weeks late, whereas I give my real deadlines to my other authors of whatever color they may be, and they tend to meet them. But my black writers, they just feel like they don't have to, they don't want to. I had one lady that said, I don't see my information. And the magazine it had been out and done. That particular issue was done, put to bed. I said, that magazine went out 3 months ago. You never sent me anything. I said, what did you want me to do? Pull things off the internet and make up your article for you? Well, yeah, you could have done that. I said, oh, no, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. I was writing a stage. I wasn't even writing it. I was collaborating with writers to do a stage production, April of 2020. And the show ended up getting canceled because of COVID, but we didn't know that at the time that we were collaborating. I was going to direct and produce it. We were going to stream it live online. But I had a bunch of people who were writing the show and writing different, vignettes for the show. And we'd already rented the venue. We had the lighting person, we had the camera person, we had everything all lined up. And one of my writers, it was a week after the deadline to submit their scripts. And we're sitting down in the workshop to go over the scripts. And she said, well, when do we get to see everybody else's work so I know how my work should look? And I said, I'm not understanding your question. And she said, well, I thought we'd get to read everybody else's work so we would know how ours should sound. And I said, that's what we're doing now. We're meeting to do a read through. And I said, you missed the writing deadline. That was a week ago. And she said, so, well, I don't know what to write because I haven't heard everybody else's part. And I said, you missed the writing deadline. You don't get to write a part now.
Yeah, it's like they don't hear that part.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't get to be in it. It's done. And the one thing I will say when I do a launch, because she kept saying, well, I didn't see anything. I said, well, I'm going to say this with love, with everything I can put out there. I said, then you are blind. I said, the launches are 5 days long. I am worn out after a launch.
Yeah.
I said, they are launched with music videos. They are launched with the magazine videos. They are launched with videos of each author. They are launched with me dancing around.
I loved your TikTok ad that launched the last issue. That was so cool. That was, it may have been Instagram, but I saw it on TikTok and it was like, doom, doom, doom. And the cover is bouncing. Boom, 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 boom. I was like, this is so cool. So
So I
anyone
was
who
kind of
hasn't seen
like,
that needs to go on your Instagram and then your TikTok and look at it because it
that's
is
what I told
awesome.
her. I'm like, if you missed that launch of
Yep.
of the magazine, you're kind of full of crap.
Yeah.
I said, because it's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook. And I said, when I launch it, you get 5 days straight. You get me sometimes just talking about what you're doing, talking about your role in the magazine. I said, so, I didn't believe her.
Yeah.
You just feel like you're entitled to do what you want and you don't have to meet deadlines. And she asked me again to be in the next issue. And I simply said, I'll let you know. I'm not going to be contacting her again because you couldn't meet the first set. You won't meet this set. And that's the thing, I have to come to realize when I'm doing some of these things. I was being really kind, but now I have to say I have businesses. These are businesses. These are not silly little entities I'm running and going to run away from. These are real businesses. So no, I've got to do what I have to do to make sure that the other people that are doing their part, get their just due from what they did as well.
Exactly. And if you've got people who are relying on you to get this out on time, you can't be holding it up for one person who's slacking.
No, and I have definitely learned printers think that they're made of gold. So when you are dealing with printing companies,
Yep.
good Lord, when you are dealing with these printers, you better get it in when they tell you, or everything is 25 extra, 35
and they're
extra.
happy to charge that. They are
They sure
happy.
are. And so people don't understand that. I know one lady, I kept telling her, you got to have a professional picture. This is a person that, to me, she had all this business stuff going. She didn't have one personal picture. So she got very angry with me because they all kept coming back fuzzy. I said, here's the thing. Printing, she said, well, I could Photoshop it. I said, it's still going to be fuzzy. I said, let me explain this to you. And this is what I've learned from printing and being a publisher. Printing on a commercial printer versus me slapping out your cell phone picture on my computer. I said, I had to ask her, I said, do you think I'm printing this at home on some very nice,
Did she send you something from here?
Yeah. I said, do you think I'm at home on my Canon knocking out this magazine? Because that's not what's happening, sister. And she goes, well, I don't know why you can't. I said, well, I could be a laughing stock, but no, honey, this is going to a commercial printer that I pay a lot of money for. And later on, she apologized. We found one picture. It ended up being a little fuzzy. She saw what I meant. And then she finally said, I apologize. As many businesses as I have, I need professional pictures. Oh, really? So people always think that I'm just out here taking pictures and sticking them out there. No, I take professional pictures every few months because if I'm speaking, I forgot the way I got into speaking. I just kind of bogarted my way into that world.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? That means I did a lot of stuff. I went to Toastmasters, which was like, I don't know, sticking my head under the sand and talking really badly. So I got away from there. That was just awful. It was like, hello, I'm a Toastmasters and I'm going to speak today. That was horrific. And so I realized that wasn't for me. And then I started getting online again. I said, well, it's here. And I got into speaker groups on Facebook. And then I also started getting onto there are what they call like little bureaus you can go on to, speakers bureaus, speakers networks, and all this stuff. You pay 30, 40 bucks, people. Don't think I'm leading you astray, but they send speaking opportunities your way. They may be paid, they may not be, but it's a great way to start. And so that's what I did. And then I had a few people that actually just kind of asked me to be on like their conferences. And I also started kind of at the Holy Roller Church level. I did a few things churchy wise and spoke at some of that stuff. And if you want to start there, that's great. But I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be broke because the Holy Roller Church level, you will be booked but not blessed. There won't be no money. So I do not recommend anybody doing the Holy Roller Church level. If you just want to practice talking, that's the ticket. But those are ways you can do it. Toastmasters does absolutely nothing for you outside of, it's more to me, it kind of teaches you how to debate. If you didn't know how to debate or get your facts right. But I'm old, I know how to do all that stuff. I'll be okay.
Yeah,
so
if you've never done public speaking, they're good. But if you've ever been in front of an audience, I feel like Toastmasters is a waste of money.
It really is. And since I've been 8 years of age, I've had to knock on people's doors and talk about God like I know about God at 8. And so I've been talking for forever. So I was just like, this is not helpful. So I would say join the Facebook groups and then also join some of the paid groups, because $20-30 a month, and they're sending you, a number of places that you can speak. You'd be surprised what you may run up on.
Mhm.
And then the groups on Facebook are great too. So I kind of just pushed my way in that door because I said, I want to do this. I want people to recognize me. I want to, be that moderator, that interviewer. I want to get to that level. There was a show some years ago, and I think it got cut out because she got sick. I don't know. The lady who she was like our Black Martha Stewart. What's her name? B.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, B. Johnson, and
B. Johnson.
she just passed away last year. She
Yes,
she had a debilitating disease. I want to say it wasn't MS, but it was something like that.
It was
And
Alzheimer's.
yes, and then she ended up having a
Mhm.
stroke as well. So yeah,
And-
but I loved her. Yeah, she was. Everybody,
Yeah,
they dubbed her the Black Martha Stewart. I loved that woman. She was so talented.
she was. And I don't know if you ever got a chance. It was fairly short because I think she got sick right after
Yeah.
it started.
Yep.
Year, but she had her own show, and she would
Yeah.
bring people on and talk about the home stuff, lifestyle, and they were mainly celebrities. But the way it flowed was just seamless, and I just fell in love with it. And I said, I would love to have that type of show. And the celebrities all seemed relaxed, like they weren't like on edge, like, what are you going to ask me? It's going to be awful. They just walked into this beautiful setting because most of the time it was at her house.
Yep.
They would just sit and have an amazing conversation with her. And then, like I said, I think she got sick, and after that it got pulled. But
Yeah.
that's more of what I'm kind of looking to eventually do. So I thought, I got to get out here. And I have so much interest in people and what they're doing. I don't care about color. I don't care about sexuality. I've kissed girls. I've done all that kind of stuff. So it is what,
I
people need to
kissed a
stop.
girl and I liked
kissed a
it.
girl, and I did. People need to stop pretending that this stuff isn't happening or that they haven't done things themselves. My sister almost passed out. She said, how could you say that you did that? I said, well, I don't think I'm going to hell. And if I am, oh, well.
Like, why not?
I said, who cares? There are people of all, feelings. People are changing genders. People are bi, people are whatever. I said, you gotta get that out of your head if you think that that's really matters anymore. But she's older. She's in that late 60s, generation,
Yeah.
and that's their thought process. And so she's truly of the boomer age, and I came the accidental baby that popped up out of nowhere. But yeah,
I mean, that's the whole thing is we're all closer, that 6 degrees of separation. I think nowadays it's like 3 degrees of separation. We are all so much closer thanks to the internet, thanks to common and shared interests. We're all closer than we realize on common ground too. That we have so much that we can share and teach each other that I think, letting one or two issues divide us as individuals. I mean, morals and politics, that's a whole different subject. But having one or two issues divide us as individuals is not worth it. Life's too short. Life is too short. So tell us again. I've got my message up here. I always tell my audience to send me nudes. You said, because I love noodles. Send nudes to my inbox of let's catch up with Mike. But and I'll let them know if they didn't get it down when you said it. But I'll let them know how to reach you. But tell us again your website for the magazine and your website for the speaking engagements.
For the speaking engagements, you'll go to www.biggerfishtofrycoaching.com, and you just hit on the speaker tab. And then for the magazine, it's prosperitymag.info. Well, it's www.prosperitymag.info. And it will have all the 411 on that page about the magazine. I'd love to have some great advertisements. Yes, they cost. And I'd love to have some great writers. That's free.
All right.
Definitely hit me up. We still are accepting people for the holiday issue. It'll be the biggest one I've ever done. So it's going to have a lot more stories than I've ever done before. I've decided my holiday issue would be my big issue each year. So people would love to come on board. Yeah, come on board, right? Tell your story. Let's hear how you're prosperous and how you're making things happen, because somebody needs to know you did it, because they may be trying to do what you're doing. They may need to understand, how is this gay guy having this podcast and what is he doing? No, seriously, you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
It'll be somebody that'll hit me up later and say, that story from Mike was just like everything, And I'm always shocked at what resonates with people. I'll be like, really? Okay. Not that I'm not shocked about a good story, but if you got a great story, please hit me up. I'd love to feature you because every story to me that you guys tell in my magazine helps my magazine grow.
I agree. I agree with that. That's why I interview such a wide berth of people on my shows, because, you know, and it's, to me, it's, if I may not be able to get anything from their story. You know, I interviewed a guy, my last show was a guy who speaks to spirits and studies UFOs. And the interview before that was a woman who starred in a horror movie when she was 6 years old. You know, there's no connection to those, you know, to them and you, but somebody watching this is going to go, oh, I want to be an actor. You know, my 6-year-old wants to be an actor. How do I get in touch with that lady to find out how to be an actor? I think I saw a ghost in my house. I want to talk to that guy. I want to start a magazine. How do I talk to this lady? It may not have any impact on my life or interest to me as a 44-year-old gay man in the South, but I can connect you to the right people, hopefully. Or if one person watching it says, now, how did she get that, dress that she wore in that magazine cover, or whatever it is? One little thing in this interview may reach somebody who says, now I've got a friend in New Zealand and they've got this, great invention and they started this business. And she said her magazine's in New Zealand now. Let me call up my friend and say, hey, now they can connect. And that's going to help both of you. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think even with the speaking, stop worrying about Toastmasters. Go ahead and do whatever you need to do. Get on YouTube and start talking about whatever you want to talk about. Make your intro, make your outro. Get on Instagram and do what I do, which is just bogart it for an hour for free every week. And that's all they give us on the gram. Get on Facebook and use all the crap that Facebook has. And I mean, Facebook has, to me, the most tools of everyone, as much as we hate to say it, but they do.
And they're using us. We should use them.
Yeah, become the metaverse. He's made $1 billion off of us.
That's
so
right.
Be on there, being a meta, whatever.
Yes.
So to me, if you want to speak, just start speaking. If you want to have an interview show, just start having an interview show. There's a funny little girl, I think she's gay because she talks about certain things, and she wears her little outfits and her little hats, and she goes around and she's made herself a food critic. And she said she's starting to get invited to do things. She would just put her little stuff on Instagram or on YouTube, and she would just go, and she talks really fast, and she talks about looking at girls and all the little different stuff she's doing. And I'm like, she's got to be, I don't know, probably early 20s.
Yeah.
And she's made herself a food critic, and she's made herself like an influencer. So whatever you want to do, get out there and do it, and get out there and put your name out there. I can't just speak on Fresh Start Fridays and think, oh, this is the only way to do this. I have to be with people like you that allow me to be on your platform, and I have to get my name out there. So I'm beyond grateful that you allow me to come on your platform and speak.
Well, I loved having you. This has been such a fun conversation. I haven't laughed this hard in a while. You have some great one-liners, and you've made me, some of your zingers have made me laugh. I mean, out loud laugh. So I appreciate that. And I'd love to be on your Fresh Start Friday sometime, because I'm a much better talker than I am a writer. So I will, I'd rather do that than be in your magazine, but I will.
Well, I will definitely reach out to you.
All right. I'd love to do that. So this has been Let's Catch Up with Mike and our guest, Eleanor Ward. And it has been so much fun having you. I'm going to play our outside. See, now you got me all tripped up. I'm going to play our outro music, and then I will talk to you on the other side. So bear with me just a moment.
All righty.
Too many times